Here's another special request for you all. On the left I've got the Noctigon K1, and on the right I've got the Olight Warrior X Turbo. Two very different lights. Not even going to say that they're the same type, because I know a lot of y'all will start going crazy saying that I'm trying to compare something similar. Just the diameter of the head of these two is very different, and the user interface on the K1 is far superior compared to the Olight. Just throwing that out there, just being honest. But this was a special request, and it's a good comparison because, I mean, they both have really good throw. The K1 is obviously gonna win, but the Olight, I mean, it does really good with not getting too hot and needing to step down. So pretty cool. We'll get them out at night and I'll show you what they look like at night. The main thing that I wanted to show you all right now, and I mean, I almost have to like pick up my phone here and show you, because they're pretty good sized lights, but the size comparison is what we're doing right now. And I just want to say that the button on this thing, on this K1, is awesome because it lets you know like the temperature as it's operating, while it's operating. You can't see it right now, but I'll show you tonight. The color changes as the light gets hotter and hotter. It starts getting more toward red. Like right now it's blue. When it gets red, letting you know that it's getting hot and that it's going to need to step down. Just really cool information right there, just in that button alone. It's got a 21700 battery in it that is not proprietary like this Warrior X Turbo is. You got to use a special battery from Olight, and plus it only has medium power and turbo. There is tons of output levels with this K1, you know, so you got some pretty good size differences. The holster with the Warrior X Turbo is much better than the K1. That's what Olight gave, and I had to upgrade the K1 holster into this Night Eyes that I had sitting around. Thankfully I had it sitting around and it fits really well in it. But the holster that came with the K1, it's just one of those like cheap Velcro ones, and I wasn't really interested in using it, so I upgraded to this Night Eyes, and I'd recommend grabbing one if you can. I don't know if they even still make these or not, but thankfully I had it sitting around and wound up moving into it. But that's pretty much it right now. I don't want to go too far into, you know, the user interface of this K1 or anything like that. It's definitely, you know, something that you need to look into in a whole separate video. I'm just trying to be brief and compare these two. This Warrior X Turbo is small enough to where, I mean, they put a clip on it. I've never carried it in the pocket because it's pretty uncomfortable, as big as that head is, but it could be done for a moment, and, you know, not something you're going to do all day, but anyway, you know, it does work. There's the other big difference, is you got that where you can hit it up on the tail, turn it on, whereas this is a side button. You charge it right there, and with the K1 you unscrew this right here and you can charge it right there with the USB Type-C port, which I really like. Your battery's contained, and what's really cool, since they included this as an option for you to be able to charge this K1, thankfully they didn't do a little rubber port somewhere in the side. I do not like those flimsy little ports that eventually just want to fall off and you lose them, and dust and debris getting all into your charging port. That right there is really well contained. So if every company would do this, I would much rather them do it the way they did it right here, instead of those little rubber ports, and especially that right there, which is constantly exposed. I don't mind it because this thing's, you know, in a holster and it's not going to be carried on me and getting super nasty and dirty anyway. But if I'm carrying something on me, if you're going to have a charging port and a flashlight, hide it like that, or don't even put one at all. I'd prefer to just pull the battery out later and charge it myself, but everybody has their own preferences, you know, so that's what's cool, is you get what you want out of it and find what you want. All right, let's get these things out tonight and show you how they perform. I've got the Warrior X Turbo on the right and the K1 on the left. So now let's see what we're looking at here. We're on medium power for both of these lights, and you can see how that K1 has a much tighter beam. Just completely can overdo the Warrior X Turbo. So now I'm going to step it up. Warrior X Turbo on the right in its brightest mode at turbo, and then we just brought the K1 on up, and they both have some pretty decent spill. The K1 a good bit more, and then the hot spot on that K1 just tons more. I mean, it's gonna really reach out there and throw some major distance. So I'm gonna keep talking to you and feel which one of these actually starts getting hot. Right now, neither one of them. I mean, I guess the K1 is kind of warm. Double checking, making sure it's still on turbo, and it is. So the Olight, I feel like they got this thing in such a safe setting to where it's not overdoing itself. I mean, this thing's not even getting warm. The K1 is still warm, not hot at all. And you know, like I've been saying, you got the cool little light right there in the button, letting you know things, letting you know what's going on with it, and helping you find it at night when it's not on. Both very cool lights. I obviously have my preference with the K1 for its user interface and just everything about it's pretty awesome. That light on that button has now started adding a little bit of red to it, and it's getting warm. The K1's finally past warm, and I mean, I'd say it's hot, but it's definitely not too hot to touch. And Warrior X Turbo, still not even warm. Good for you all to know how these things can perform and which one is going to be able to go longer. Still hadn't stepped down or anything like that. Neither one stepped down. If you're needing to get out and run a really good thrower for a long period of time, I'd recommend either one of these. I mean, they're not gonna make you sad or anything like that. I mean, they're doing just fine. Alright, that K1 finally started getting hot, so I eased it back, and the Olight still not warm. So that is a win for the Olight. I will give them that. They've got this thing going pretty easy, but I mean, check it out. If I was to put the K1 comparable to the Warrior X Turbo, which would be, looks like about right there. Now, I could do what the Warrior X Turbo is doing with the K1, and it's not going to get hot. And then you have more if you need it. That's usually how I do do stuff anyway. I don't max anything out anyway. I run it to where it's not going to get too hot, then I know that I can keep on going if I'm looking for something, checking for critters, checking property, whatever I'm doing. Alright, just wanted to see which one got hot, and now we know. And there they are, equal amounts of light, and this K1 is cooling off and still performing just like the Olight. So that's something to consider also. Alright, thank y'all for watching. If you got any questions, hit them up.